So hey, welcome back to Netflix football, and today we have got something huge, man, huge. Since I started this podcast segment around a month back, and God knows how things have come, and I'm grateful to every one of you for tuning in each and every day. And today, with me, as the banner suggests, yes, we have got a former Premier League player, a true magpie in himself, Stephen Taylor, the legend, the Stephen Taylor. Like, I'm still shaking. Like, I had him in my FPL team a few years back, and I'm doing a podcast with him. I'll be very nervous, so do forgive me for that. So bringing up on screen right now is Ovigda and Steven. So hi Steven, Ovigda, welcome back.
How are you doing? You okay?
I'm fine. So Ovigda is actually the head of football for Odisha FC. So he actually immense thanks to him for allowing me this opportunity to have a chat with Steven. And actually, it was Ovigda's birthday yesterday. So let's all wish him a belated happy birthday. Steven just had his birthday on 23rd. So a belated happy birthday to you as well. So before we go on with the proceedings, I just have a small video from the internet. Hope will replenish some of your memories. So I'm bringing that on right now. Just a second.
It's a football city. People have to come up here to realise what it is, no matter where you go, into restaurants and shops, and no matter who you speak to, all about football here.
Remembering what my father said. Put one foot forward, then the next. One step ahead of the rest. And we're singing that same old song. And we all just sing along. You gotta believe it all. You got me singing your song. Believe it all. You got me singing your song.
Delivery and Kane Taylor. 2-0 Newcastle. Stephen Taylor. And it's in. It's a third goal, and Stephen Taylor did get away from Mate.
It's another 5 minutes to have the Sevillers game. You gotta believe it. You got me singing your song. You got me singing your song.
Run down the memory lane, right, Stephen?
Oh, there's memories. Yeah, back down the memory lane there. A few goals, and there's a couple similar to what I've done out here for Odisha as well. So, yeah, obviously lived the dream for Newcastle, especially from an early age, being there since I was 9 years old. And when I was younger, a lot of people telling me that Newcastle don't really give the youth the opportunity. I think maybe in a couple of cup games you'll see a few young boys get that chance, and you never hear them again. So I've always had that kind of chip on my shoulder, believing when I left school at 16 to be in the reserves, train with the likes of Alan Shearer, and believing by the time I'm 18 that I want to be a regular. So that was the belief I had at a very early age. I was around Gary Speed, Alan Shearer, Shea Given, the older heads in the team who I kind of wanted to surround myself in. And they were the guys that kind of driven me every day. You know, even when you have a good game, they're always kind of grounding you. You never get too carried away. And I think they're the guys that kind of made me, even when I win a game, never get too high. And when I lose a game, never get too low. So I look at the traits that they did and watch what they did on a day-to-day basis, how they trained, how they were on and off the pitch. And there was something like Gary Speed, who I wanted to be a bit like. You know, he's like a manager on the pitch. And the kind of energy that he gives off is something now that I want to give off to the young boys who I play with this day, even when I'm training. You know, you're always trying to help and you see a different purpose now.
Absolutely. And coming over to Obhikda, how, when you were building your squad, when you were in charge of the operations, as you like to say that, and how important was to have someone of Steven's character in around the pitch, as well as with the local guys that are coming through his leadership and his, as you say, he was always a workhorse on the pitch. So that much of a character around your team and the boys from that, lifting the name of ISL. So how the decision? How was the decision? Forgive me, I'm just a bit nervous.
No problem. So no, I think all the credit for Steven's signing has to go to our head coach Stuart, because I would be dishonest to take any credit for it, because it was him who, from the very beginning, was very clear about bringing Steven to the Indian Super League, and he was very clear about the qualities that Steven has, as you mentioned, in terms of leadership, the maturity he has, and of course all the experience he'll bring. And he was very vocal in his backing of Steven as our club captain and as one of our signings this season. So the entire thought process initiated from Stuart, and then of course the club sort of backed that train of thought and then made it happen. So that's what I would say is the story behind him coming here.
What an amazing story and what an amazing character. And talking about Steven, well, let's talk about your debut against the UEFA Cup at that time and against Mallorca. And I read in one of your interviews that you came across on loan Samuel Eto'o, who was on loan from Barcelona at that point of time. So I couldn't actually get a picture. I'm just showing you something I got from when you cross paths again in Chelsea for the third time. So just really relive those memories. Can you just say to us that how you felt being on that pitch in a European tie against Mallorca, and what were all the emotions about?
The emotions was, I remember Sir Bobby Robson telling me that when you're on the bench, keep yourself warm, because Andy O'Brien was feeling a bit of an injury. And I was looking at the bench. It was a pretty young bench, and there was a lot of midfielders on there. And I was thinking, this could be my opportunity. And I just remember warming up and very nervous. And Andy O'Brien went down with an injury. So Bob Robson's called me over and put his arm around me and says, listen, son, just go out there and enjoy it. That's all I ask. And him just putting his arm around us, that feeling I'll never forget. It's like the back of your hair stand up on your neck. You know, a legend like Sir Bob Robson, for what he's done in the game, England manager. You know, he's managed the top teams in the world, and like Barcelona. And for myself to have a manager to do that, to give me that confidence going into the game at 18 years old, you know, it was a dream come true. And coming against Samuel Eto'o, I remember like the last 30 seconds of the game, I was standing next to him, and when the referee blew his whistle, I just said to him, I said, can I have your shirt? And I made a mistake because he gave me his shirt, and I ended up taking my shirt off, and he didn't have a clue who I was. He just probably used it now as his cleaning shirt around the house, you know, to mop up all the dirt. So for me, it's framed, and I've got to play against him again at Chelsea. And I told him when I played against him, did you remember me? He said he did, but I don't think he did. He's come against some top-class, world-class centre-backs. But to play against them again, actually before Chelsea, it was a team called Anzi in Russia. We played in UEFA Cup, and we won again 1-0. Papi Cisse scored, and I couldn't believe when he came to Chelsea. So 3 times, 3 different clubs. Amazing for myself to experience playing against that kind of player. So yeah, listen, it's brought some amazing memories, and the experiences that have come from that, it's phenomenal. I'll never forget.
Absolutely. what amazes me the most that whenever I have talked to the local players, whom they always share the same story about the debut. Like as you mentioned, the hair standing on the back of your neck, you just are stuck in that moment. But a character of your persistence, and we have watched it, like we all saw in the videos that how nonchalant you were and how amazing you were in your defensive tackles. Like I remember for a certain, and Abhik, I'll get Abhik's view in this, a certain boxing day against United, or even let's take it before that, when Cristiano Ronaldo was playing, you were there tackling him around. So this was 2008. Abhigda was a young lad, but he's still young, was a bit younger back then. So Abhigda, do you recall that moment when Cristiano Ronaldo probably got his hat trick, for the only hat trick he scored for Man United? Stephen was on the pitch.
I told Stephen about it the moment he came in. I remember.
That was the first thing you said, by the way. Remember the Ronaldo?
So I remember, but of course, I think I wouldn't say old people like me, but for people like me who sort of watched the Premier League, the good old days of the Premier League, I would say. And of course, it's become a completely different product, but the older Premier League had a different romance, and all of us have grown up on it, watched it very closely. So I think all of us identify with like Stephen, of course, because we were so absorbed in it, and the rivalries, of course, with some of the players that were on show in the Premier League at that time. I think everybody remembers everybody who featured in the Premier League for all the major clubs. So I think people belonging to that generation, of course, will have memories of every club, whether it's Manchester United, whether it's Arsenal, whether it's Newcastle, whether it's Chelsea or Liverpool. Some great players playing in it. And as Stephen said, some fantastic managers, the likes of whom I don't think will ever be replaced or ever be. People can sort of touch the sort of achievements that they had. So yeah, I think there are fond memories for all of us Premier League fans, and we have some memories from that generation.
Absolutely. So we'll take a question from the viewers. Jeevakda, thanks for joining in. Says, question for Stephen. How does the club and one of its most loyal players handle going from the Champions League to the Championship in the span of 4 years? What changes and what remains in space? Well, I know it was at that moment of time Newcastle had got relegated under Alan Shearer, and that was a tough time because we all have seen the movie Goal, and like football, Santiago Munez, the story that they told, we all fell in love with a certain team from the Toons. Like, amazing story, amazing history, and a lot of pride comes with playing for those black and white strips. So, in relevance with this question, how do you say that you were one of those loyal players to stick through that period? So, how tell us the frame of mind in the squad, and then you eventually come back up. So, how did it all go, Stephen?
I always remember the season because everyone was telling me and telling the players, Newcastle's too good to go down. You know, the players we had in there with Mark Viduka, Michael Owen, Scott Parker, Damien Duff. The players were top class, and I just remember every game we were playing. Sometimes we were getting draws, and the games we should have been winning, we were drawing in the round as the teams, and the teams who we wouldn't expect to pick up points would win. But we had too many draws that year, which obviously got us relegated. But I think it was 7 games to go. Alan Shearer had, and even then we just thought, I think 3 games to go. If we get 1 win, I think it was against Middlesbrough. And I remember scoring past that game. As a football club, we thought we were safe. And then I think Hull pulled out a win, which put us back in the mix. And in the last game of the season against Aston Villa, all we needed was a point. And I think they had 1 shot, and it was going wide. Gareth Barry hit a shot, and it hit Damien Duff's ankle and gone in the bottom corner past Steve Harper. And I could see on Aston Villa that they weren't at the races, they weren't on it that game, but we just couldn't score. I think some of the players that we had then, did they want to beat Newcastle? I don't think they did. But it was probably the best thing that happened to Newcastle at the time, because we had too many big egos and players who didn't particularly want to be there. But that was a big transition for the football club, because we got rid of the people who didn't want to be there. Next season, we created a winning mentality. I think from the Championship, getting the record points, and it was a good feel factor, I think, for the fans buying back into it. And when we came back up, it was about survival. We did that. And I think the following season, we were in amongst the European spots. And not far after that, we finished 5th. And you got to look at that. Has it been worth it? We thought yes, but then obviously when we finished 5th, when we should have kicked on, like Tottenham, we didn't invest. They did. We sold our best players. They kept their best players, and that's it ended up biting us in the backside because we got relegated. And
Stephen, you've gone on mute.
back. Hold on a second.
Yeah, back.
There we are. Yeah, no, I think as a football club, it was probably the best thing for us because week in, week out, you're winning games. The fans are buying into it. It's a football city, Newcastle. Anyone who comes to the games and understands the culture there, everybody eats, sleeps, breathes football in the whole city. You can't go around anywhere without people mentioning about football, and it's the beauty about it. You're living in that kind of football in town and city. I think it was a good thing. The first time we got relegated. The second time was more difficult to swallow. I think when Steve McLaren was manager, I do believe if Rafa Benitez had took charge a little bit earlier, we would have stayed up because when he took over, the results improved and we played better as a team. Last game of my career at Newcastle against Tottenham, winning 5-1. I just remember before the game, it was some risky tactics, letting their fullback come at us and leaving Sissoko Gini a bit higher with Mitrovic. But when we started scoring the goals and they had a sent-off, I couldn't believe we beat them 5-1. And to say that was my last game at St. James Park, playing against Harry Kane, it was a great feeling for myself. But you knew it was time to go there when Rafa Benitez offered me another 1-year deal. But it was all about squad rotation. They're going to bring 4 centre-halves in. There's going to be double up in every position because there's 46 games in the Championship, and it was big on rotation. For myself, at 30, I wanted to play every game. I'm quite a greedy guy. I want to be in every game. I don't want to be sitting in one week, out the next. And it was up for a new challenge, something that wet my lips. And I was actually about to go to Turkey. Agreed everything out there. But the military coup happened out there, which stopped the transfer. And then I went to Portland Timbers, and when I was out there, Portland Timbers, there wasn't really any big names that you guys will know. Maybe Liam Ridgewell at the time. But I think I probably went there a bit too early. But I just wanted the games, and I think playing 15 games inside of 3 or 4 months, I knew I had more in my locker. And that's when Mick McCarthy asked, would you come to the Championship, break a 2.5-year deal like you signed in America, which was a difficult thing. But I did that, came back, and I was back in the Championship and enjoying life there. But it's amazing what happens, I think, when in football, you get greedier when you get older. People, when I was young, I seen older players who kind of were happy to sit on the bench one game and maybe come on for 15, 20 minutes to see the game out. But I like to drive myself in training with the young boys and not miss training. I just don't want to be one of them players who kind of just goes to the swimming pool, has an easy day, an easy week. I want to be kind of driving where the young boys are looking up and saying, I want to be like that when I'm older. Because that's something that Gary Speed was to me when I think he was 36 at Newcastle and one of the fittest there. Played every game, trained, never missed a training session. And it's just the way he lived his life, the way he was. I thought that's the kind of character I want to be and the voice I want to be in the change room, around the place and on the pitch as well.
Absolutely. What a mesmeric story, guys. So those of you watching for the first time, hit that subscribe button. We've got to get to 500 as soon as possible, and let's take it on from here. So question to ABHIK, and we all heard the journey of Stephen as a whole, but there's one manager. I'll get Stephen's view on this a bit later. So ABHIK, how do you think this guy, King Kenny, he's a manager, he's a Ballon d'Or winner, for heaven's sake, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. And you, ABHIK, being a United fan, when Newcastle were topsy-turvy time, King Kenny came in and actually got hold of the realms. Stephen was in that side. And do you remember at that time, Newcastle, there were a lot of controversies at that point of time. I'm not going into all of those. But how do you view King Kenny as a character, as a manager? Because in football, we often see what's on the pitch, but what goes on behind, I think, ABHIK, you can give us a more glimpse into that.
No, I think there's a time in every manager's career wherein it's about I don't know how to put this exactly, but I think at the time you had one of the best managers in terms of playing mind games in St. Alex, and I have seen many a manager fall for how he used to put things out there, and it's no slight on him. On And at that time, I remember we were, and I remember the situation as well. I think we were 12 points off, and at the top spot, and Sir Alex being Sir Alex, I think he threw. It's like Stuart also tells us, he's like in every situation in life, a player or someone who you don't get along with will give you a gift. So you have to capitalize on that gift. And I think Sir Alex just threw a Hail Mary into the sea, and he bit. And it's you can't obviously comment on it. And I think different people react differently to it. It's just one for the history books, and we all know what happened. I think it just threw him off the path he was on, which I think if he would have been more focused on, there might have been they might have ended up creating history at that moment. But threw him off, and United at that point was such a relentless trophy-winning club. They just wore them down. So, yeah, but I wouldn't blame him too much for it. I think it's just you have to give credit for Sir Alex for fishing, and it's just it just happens to be that when things work for you, it works for you. So, yeah, that's how it was for me. That is what I read into it.
Stephen, your thoughts and relationship with King Kenny?
He was definitely one for the players who absolutely loved every single player. He knew how to get the best out of everyone. And when people needed to kick up the backside, he knew which players could take it and which couldn't. And he was just enjoyable every single day. Every session was fun. For the foreign boys, he was just very good. I think he's like a father figure to a lot of the foreign boys, made them feel at home. I remember Asprilla, he come from Colombia and all that. The way that their relationship was, and you look at the time when he came back the second time, maybe his hands were a bit tied from upstairs, but you can just tell that he wanted to just go at every team. And it was all about, we want to score more goals than them. It was be on the front foot, attack, and especially at St. James Park, that's what the fans loved. It's an entertaining ground, especially last 10 minutes. The fans, the roar that you get, and it's like a 12th man there, and he just give you that kind of belief. And I think when you see someone like King Kev, as everyone called him, it was phenomenal, especially as a young lad playing for Kevin Keegan. It was amazing. I think you just give you that confidence and the belief to just go out there and express yourself and enjoy your football. And even if you make a mistake, he said, make it big if you're going to make a mistake. He said, I just want you to react, go again, let's get another goal, and don't stop. And just the belief that we had at the time was phenomenal.
Absolutely. I'll stick with you, Stephen. Just have something very funny, if you could, if I could cherish your memory on this. So let me just get on the slide.
Must be the sniper.
Yeah, it is one. So this is the shot, actually.
No matter where I've been in the world, everyone brings up this. This is the one thing about where I've been. America.
I'm so sorry, but this was a must. This was a must. Requested thing from, other than the goal, the goal film, how you enjoyed it. I'll come to that a bit later. But this particular slide, I know this was around 17 years ago. And very, very engaging match, if I say, with the events that followed. I'm not going into that. But this particular moment, Stephen, walk us through what happened.
So basically, I came on second half for someone. I think Nicky Butt was dwelling on the ball on the halfway line, and he lost the ball. Darius Vassell took it off him. And I remember just sprinting back, went past Shea Given. Darius Vassell went past Shea Given, dropped the shoulder. And then I'm on the line with Darius Vassell coming towards me, and I thought he's going to give me the eyes here, where he's going to pretend to go one way and kick it the other. So that's what I did. I went one way, and I read what he's going to do, but he hit it too high, and it hit my arm, and I pretended that it hit my stomach. So I went back, and looking from the video, I don't know how I didn't snap my back. And I remember getting the referee. I didn't realize how close the referee was as well. I thought he was further down the pitch, and when he was as close as what he was, he held his red card out, sent me off. My first red card in front of 52,000, and I was amazed to see that 52,000 standing ovation for getting sent off in that style. It was played for many, many weeks on Soccer AM as the platoon. So something I'll never forget and always reminded to this day. Something that, in a way, looks back now as a great memory to have, but a sad one as well.
Honestly, I had no idea how you were actually going to react to this. But let's take it back on footballing terms a bit.
Yeah.
And Abhik, this is one for you. And growing up as a Manchester United fan, and you must generally and genuinely must have been scared when this guy was on the pitch. He's none other than the legend Alan Shearer himself, the greatest goal scorer for the Premier League. And Abhik, your thoughts, like, he won the title for Blackburn, came in, and he is a god in Tyneside. And your general thoughts about Alan Shearer, the legend himself. We'll get Stephen's thoughts after you.
I was never scared. There are very few strikers in opposition teams that have scared me as such, because the immense faith I think we had as at United. I think it's just Torres is probably the only one who I used to sort of get scared of when he used to play. But no, I've happened to meet Alan Shearer in person because Alan's visited India many times, because he's a Premier League ambassador as well. And he always attends a lot of the Premier League events in India. So I've had the opportunity to meet with Alan and chat a bit. So, of course, I think in the Premier League, especially, British strikers are very celebrated. Whether it's Shearer, whether it's Rooney, and all the top goal scorers, Harry Kane now. And I think rightly so, because he was, in my opinion, a complete striker, because nowadays in football, we've started to categorize strikers. We talk about FIRMINO, who's a defensive striker. I don't know where that term comes from, but we've started to classify strikers into subcategories, and there are very few strikers in the world today who are good with either feet, who are good with their head, who are good in terms of poaching around the box, who are good in terms of individually beating, going through a defense and scoring on their own. And Alan was one of those rare strikers who had everything: strong, powerful, excellent at set pieces, good with either feet, good with his head. Very, very rare breed in the Premier League, and of course, scoring the amount of goals that he did. There's no surprise why he's so highly celebrated even to this day, and his achievements are, held in high esteem by all of us who watched the Premier League that time.
Stephen, coming on to you, like, as Avigdor said, that we certainly classify strikers that he's a false nine, he's a inverted winger, he's a inside forward, like that. In those days when Shearer was playing, he was a classic centre forward, a proper number 9, as we would say it. So, Stephen, how was, like, you told us that how inspirational he was to you and to the other lads around in training ground at the time. But Stephen, I'd ask you, on a perspective as a player, how do you rate him as one of the best strikers in the Premier League? Would you actually consider him to be the best striker ever in the to have ever played in the Premier League?
Well, his goals speak for itself, doesn't it? I think you look at his goal record. Everyone talks about Thierry Henry as well, but there's no number 9 that comes close to Alan Shearer as an out-and-out striker with what he can do. They hold the play, they get in the box, he's finishing. In experience, he's finishing in training every day. I remember it's from 16 to 18. I got absolutely battered in training every time, going for headers. He'd always leave a bit on you, but it toughened you up as a defender. But if you look at when he first came to Newcastle, turning down Manchester United to come home to Newcastle, the game what no one will ever forget was the Les Ferdinand and Alan Shearer dismantling Manchester United 5-0. I think that kind of set the statement around the physical presence that he had. Defenders were scared, and I remember speaking to Nicky Butt about it. They used to hate his defenders coming against Alan Shearer, because you knew you were going to be in for a game. It's always going to be tough. And when I spoke to Alan Shearer, I said, who was the hardest defender that you had to come against? And he mentioned two defenders, and it was Tony Adams, and it was the Brazilian centre-back. Is it Lucio?
Yep.
I'm trying to think.
Lucio.
Yep, he was. I always remember it was the time them two the biggest, obviously the hardest ones he came against. But he didn't fear anybody really in the Premier League. He used to love it, go out there believing that you score. I remember when Craig Bellamy was playing with him. He was a perfect partner. You know, Craig Bellamy was underrated for my liking because of the work that he did for Alan Shearer to get his goals. I think running the channels, doing the horrible side of the game. You know, for Alan Shearer to stay between the sticks, and for the deliveries from Laurent Robert and Alberto Solano, the balls that he was getting, he was very clinical. And if you look at how many one-on-one chances he get, you very rarely see him miss them chances. Whereas this modern day football now, the amount of players who get the one-on-one chances and the miss, you know, he was very, very clinical. It's his all-round game, the way he analyzes defenders before the preparation he put into it all week. The stuff he'd always practice his penalties. I very rarely now see players do that every single day. They maybe just do it a day before the game. But it's the stuff he does behind the scenes, you know, staying out in the pouring rain in Newcastle, freezing cold, doing extra shooting. You know, it's the stuff that you don't see, that you appreciate more. But hearing from other centre-halves, when you speak to John Terry and the Rio Ferdinandes of the world, how difficult he is to play against because he's so physical, and he always had a signature move where it was 2 yards forward and the one step back, where you feel the whole frame of Alan Shearer. And when you get that into you, it wins you. You got two things will happen. You're going to get a free kick given against you, or you're going to lose your breath by hitting. And he's powerful. He's got the hardest back in football, I think. So for me to experience that every day in training it was tough. You know, as a 16-year-old coming into the game, understanding a man's game, and you really had to understand, you had to toughen yourself up to deal with this kind of striker. And look at when he played for England, you know, the goals he scored, it was unbelievable. I think you won't see another striker as good as him, and I don't think anyone will ever beat his record either. I just don't think anyone's got that kind of, he's just one of a kind. Don't get me wrong, Thierry Henry's got to be one of the all-time best strikers as well for what he does for Arsenal, but for Alan Shearer, Newcastle United at the time, the players that we had at the time, you look at Thierry Henry, if you put him in our team, would he be able to do the stuff he did? I don't know.
Absolutely. Even Wayne Rooney came a bit close, but it was a long mile off. So we actually have got a question for Stephen. It's from Ajit. Ajit, thanks for tuning in. So Stephen, how's the atmosphere in India and life inside the bio bubble going on right now? Before you answer this, I'm just going to ask you, like,
I'll be honest with you, the hardest thing for myself was the 2 weeks quarantine. After about a week, you know, it's frustrating. It dragged. The food you're getting every day, it wasn't nice for me. I think looking at there, it was small portions, and I was losing weight. But once I got out of there, start training every day, and you get into routine. We were very looked after. I think we were very lucky as well. We've got one of probably the best hotels, I think, in Goa. So we're very fortunate that the training pitch that we've got is very good quality for us. So the boys haven't really complained about it, and the lads have kept themselves busy. A lot of players playing Uno, there's table tennis for the boys to keep occupied. A lot of players are playing on the PlayStations and keep themselves busy. But it's a very tight-knit group. I think the young boys as well, they're mixing very, very well. And you see a lot of boys in the outdoor gym, and they keep themselves in good shape. I think it's credit to them. And I think the best thing for me now is looking from day one to now, it'll be very easy for the young boys to go into a shell, crumble for the results that we've had. And it just shows the character in the squad. And the lads, from all the criticism, maybe some of the results that we've had, it's been a hard one because we've deserved, I think, a bit more. And I think things haven't gone our way. You know, we've had a few mistakes, but it's a learning curve for a lot of our young lads. And that you got to see for India football, it's definitely a bright future for what I've seen here now, and it's exciting for me to play with them. You know, they're pushing me, and I'm seeing how much quality, how much better they've got from day one. You know, they're understanding the game better now. When I first came here, there's players shooting from 35, 40 yards from all sorts of angles. Now they're understanding the patterns of play, how Stuart wants to play. and they picked that up. But this will only help them, I think, in definitely their careers and moving forward now. But we're definitely getting better as a team. Recently, in the last month, I would have said we are definitely one of the top 6 teams in form. And if you look at the way we're playing, exciting teams, speaking to a lot of players around the league who I know, and they can't believe where we are. I think they said, listen, you're an exciting team. Says you should, on paper, people probably think, oh, a young team, you should be getting beat 5 or 6-0, you're overachieving. But I look at the lads, they're never giving. The fight's there. And you see that on the pitch. And for me to see the boys graft for each other, we'll go down maybe 1 or 2-0 at half time. It's easy to sulk and go into a shell thinking, oh, no. I've been in squads where they've just kind of give up. Here, I give credit and tip my hat off to the boys here. The young Indian boys have kept going, even when they made a mistake. There's games where I look at them and I see their reaction straight away, and they've been fantastic. And they're going from strength to strength. And I think India football has definitely come a long way. I look at it maybe 5-6 years ago, watching some of the games, and I don't think it was anywhere near the quality that it is now, for 100%. And even the young boys you see coming through. So for me, it's a definitely bright future for the Indian football, and the Indian Super League's definitely getting better. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely. So on the same note, ABHIK, I just want to ask you on the same terms, like just as Steven said, that when ISL actually started and where we are right now, and we had players that were had actually retired and came into the ISL. Then we started taking in the Indian Super League started taking players who are currently playing, and now we have all-round superstars in around the entire league. And question to the point is, like, do you see this as it is improving? But the mission that we had, even I was speaking to a few locals, that mission 2026 is quite too less, but quite too near a future to consider. But maybe by 2030, 2034, under the leadership and the mentors like Steven himself, can you say Indian football be on the pinnacle and maybe again play in the World Cup very, very soon? Avigda?
No, I think when people talk about qualifying for the World Cup, etc., I think it's, see, I'm a realist. I sort of prefer to understand the realities that Indian football is going through, and I do feel that Indian football at this moment, you can never achieve what you have to achieve unless your entire youth structure and your grassroots are producing top quality players day in and day out. And it's not even about the quality of players they're producing, it's what they're coached at a very young age. Because to be fair, in Indian football, all the kids start playing professionally, and they start in academies when they are 12. And in Europe, the starting age for the kids is 5 or 6. There's a 6-year gap in motor skill development, in things that kids pick up in that age group, and that affects things. For people, it might not be a big thing, but for me, because, and I'm sure Steven knows it, it makes a big difference if you're losing 6 years in your development. And also, I think what people fail to recognize is that even for young players, they need to be playing year in and year out. In Indian football, with the current calendar, kids are playing 10 games, 15 games a year. That's not going to suffice. And for any young athlete, what's important is the number of games you're playing. So when you're young, you should be playing close to 40 games a year because you have the stamina to do so, which they're not. So I think there are steps being taken. Of course, the Indian football as a commercial product has grown by leaps and bounds. But I do think the entire calendar, the number of games that the kids are playing, what age they are starting as, unless you rectify that, it's tough. I want to be positive. I do hope we do end up playing in the World Cup. That's every Indian's dream. But we do need to fix. It'll just be papering. It'll just be paper over the cracks, and we're just painting the holes. So it's better that if you start from where it should start. If you fix the things that should be fixed, if you are prioritizing the things that will help you, say, 8 or 10 years down the line, that's when I think you have a more concrete chance. Otherwise, of course, senior level football can look can look good. Of course, it's meant to. You'll of course have players coming through, but unless you want to set yourself up for long-term development, I think we are quite a bit, we are far off, because to qualify for the World Cup, you need to be among the top 3 or 4 teams in Asia, which I don't think India is at the moment. First, we need to be dominating in Asia. We need to be competing with the likes of Japan, with the likes of Korea, with the likes of China, in terms of where we are. Once we do that, then we can talk about the World Cup. First priority is Asia. The World Cup's next. So that's why I think the priorities need to be set in order for us to think about qualifying for the World Cup.
Absolutely. So as we move on closer to the end of this show, I have a few questions for Steven. Number one is the most difficult player as a defender that you have played against. Number two, your favorite player you have played with in the Newcastle team. And number three, how are you liking the Indian food?
My first question I'll answer will be Ruud van Nistelrooy, Manchester United, because his movement, I think, always remember him playing behind me. Every time I look on my right shoulder, he would come my left side. Look on my left, he'd come my right side. When you get near to him, he's already popping the ball off. 1-2 touch. Never lets you get too near to him, Very clever player. Even when he turns, he's just looking at you. Even while the ball's playing, he's just looking at you and kind of playing mind games, but in the box, poacher, quality, finishing. He was very clinical. For me, one of the best finishers that I had come across, and someone who I found it very difficult to get near to when he's had the ball, because he just kind of plays 1-2 touch and he doesn't let you have a chance, but he's very clean with his touches. So he was a very difficult player to play against. Player with Newcastle, obviously Alan Shearer. I think to be a young lad playing with someone like that, I always believed when he was on the team sheet that I was going to win the game. He had that aura about him, and it was amazing. I think to be on a pitch with him, he just kind of gave you that kind of confidence. And I was kind of his blocker for I think 2 or 3 years, where every set piece I had to go and get in front of the big monsters that I had to deal with in the box, so he can try and get a free header. And it was just amazing experience, I think, for that. I think him, and also Jonathan Woodgate, centre half, one of the best centre halves to play with, in Colaccini as well. Fantastic, good relationship, good partnership with them. So I think probably them, and also Hatem Ben Arfa. He was unique, different type of player, incredible. I think one of the seasons we finished 5th was down to him, Papi Cisse, and Demba Ba, but he was the maverick. He gave him the ball. He went, I think, from the halfway line twice and scored a goal like Messi. And he had that belief of he should win the Ballon d'Or that year. That's how much belief he had. And to answer your third question, how have I found the food? Incredible. Learned so much from the young Indian boys who tell me what to have. And the chef here has been different class. Really took to the culture out here. Experiencing different types of foods here. And I've bought into it. Out here, I want to enjoy the foods, and I tell you what, they've definitely shown English food up. It's better quality, that's for sure. It's proper Indian dishes. Out back home, it's the fake stuff.
The canned stuff, right? I watched a couple of shows on YouTube. They all put it in cans.
I'm about to get in touch with some of Disha fans. I'm sure they can whip up a signature dish for us one day. So I'm waiting to hear back from a few of the Adisha fans. So I hope for something nice.
Absolutely. So Obigda, just as we conclude the show, because I do a Man United based podcast, so we have United versus Sheffield United today. Thoughts on that? Just a prelude to the viewers.
I think Stephen was telling me today morning we have to win 9-0, and because obviously they have I think they have 9 players out. But I think at this point of time, for me, given where we are in the league, whether it's 9-0, 1-0 doesn't matter. I think 3 points matter, because we need to go back to the top. So for me, I am not looking for any sort of extravagant wins. A win will do. As long as United keep winning, I'm happy. It doesn't matter what the scoreline is. So I think United will get the job done today. And I think we'll go back to the top temporarily until City have the next game.
Absolutely. And Stephen, final. Okay, I have got another question for you. So two final questions. One is, how do you see Newcastle United playing at this point of time and their future ambitions, according to you as a fan right now? And later on, Ajit is asking a question like everyone asks, Messi or Ronaldo.
It's obviously worrying times in Newcastle. I think we're not getting results. I watched the game last night, and yeah, it's just frustrating. I think at the moment we're not clicking. The results have gone against us. You know, maybe the teams below us could help us out if they can keep getting beat as well. But at the moment, things aren't going well. But things are going to change. I think for the results, the fans want more. But the players, they've got the players to do it. You know, Wilson, he seemed a threat, and you've seen the goals he scored. But as a team at the moment, it's just not working at the moment. You could go through bad spells, but it is a bit worrying at the moment for a Newcastle fan.
And Messi or Ronaldo, as everyone asks.
For me, Ronaldo. I think he's a full package, and yeah, I think for what he's done in the game as well, playing against them, and he's just gone to the next level. I think for me, he is the GOAT.
Simple, straightforward answer. Just music to my ears right now. So many thanks to Obigda and Stephen for joining in. Like the pandemic has been very tough. I actually lost my job and started this channel, and I never in my wildest of dreams would have hoped to host first of all Obigda, and then of all someone whom I have selected in my FPL team and was very lucky with you in the 2012-2013 season. And my God, I am still shaking at this moment of time. This has been an ethereal journey. So thank you very much, Stephen and Obigda, for allowing me this opportunity. Let's wish you the best of luck for the remainder of your season, and let's hope that you can climb up the table. Let's hope we can fill back the local stadiums, because I'm from West Bengal, Kolkata. I'm a Mohun Bagan fan. So I cannot wait to meet you guys in our local, and I'll make sure if I get the chance to meet you, I am a hotel management guy. I'll bring you something you're going to definitely love and remember for your life.
This podcast was going well until you mentioned you're an 80K Mohun Bagan fan. Because but anyway, yeah, we'll let you off.
Hey, thanks for having me, by the way. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, bye. Very pleasure hosting you. Bye.
Bye.
So okay, that was pretty much about it, guys. Netflix football. Stephen Taylor in the house and still sweating. My God. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you've got all the answers that you've been looking for. And let's wish Odisha FC a very good luck in the remainder of the season. Like we say, the Roshogolla derby between Kolkata and Odisha. Let's hope very soon we get to see the fans coming in the stadiums. Let's hope that this horrific pandemic is over and we get our lives back on track. So stay tuned. Probably there's not going to be a pre-match podcast today, neither a PES 21 stream. So let's hope Man United get the win, and that's pretty much about it. Okay, it's on Saturday. It's Mr. Ranjit Bajaj live. Hope you catch that. Spread the news, and let's keep this channel growing, guys. You've shown me a lot of love, so keep promoting the local talent. So signing off for now. This is your boy Neil for Netflix Football. Have a good time. Let's hope Man United go back on top of the table. Bye-bye for now.